a lot of times you're going to have ideas, and I'm not saying that your idea is automatically great. You have some good ideas, you have bad ideas, and I could think back on times in my life where I was super young and I actually had an idea that if I would have given it the proper water, nutrients, and actually followed through with it, it would have been a phenomenal idea. And then there's also ideas you have that turn out to not work out how you're expecting, and that actually adds to your growth. That makes you find out a path that was a dead end. So that's also value.
Yeah, guys, when it comes down to, the pressure from our family members and our close friends, relatives, it is something that is difficult to overcome because these are people that we love. And a lot of times when we hear criticism from the outside world, it doesn't hit us the same way that the criticism from our actual family members and our friends hits us, because it's like, man, if these are the people who I really trust, these are the people who I really love, and if they're telling me not to do something, then I should really actually take heed to what they're saying. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to making moves in life and when it comes down to stepping outside of the box, we really have to trust our gut. We have to trust our gut. And I think this is another point that James brought up earlier when we were chopping it up in the car, was that you were saying that, when there's a brick wall in front of you, or when there's a wall in front of you, a lot of times we'll just give it a little knock.
Yeah,
we'll give it a little knock. But the thing is, we need to actually just have that mindset where we're gonna just bust down that wall. Or if there's no ceiling over that wall, we need to figure out a way where we can jump over the top of it and hurdle over the top of that wall. So we're not even coming into, our dreams. We're not coming into, our ideas with the type of momentum that we really need to be coming into it with anyways. Because if we come into something with soft momentum, there's gonna be a wall there that we're gonna be met with. But if we come in there with so much force, that wall doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, a lot of times things you're gonna try them 50 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, and it's not gonna work. But you have to get up and you have to go full force and hammer into that wall again. Hammer into the wall again. And eventually you're going to start seeing cracks, and eventually you're going to break through. And if there's one thing that Olympic weightlifting taught me, was you could fail at something giving 100% effort multiple times, and then eventually you watch yourself being capable of not only breaking through that barrier, but surpassing it. And then eventually that old barrier that you had now becomes a routine skill that you can just do over and over. And it really comes from concentrating your forces and almost piercing into whatever goal. You're not accepting the defeat. You're not accepting a no. You are literally, you hit with as much force as you can. You have to expect it's not gonna break the first time. You show up the next day, you hit it again, full force. Show up the next day, and every day, you're gonna be either strengthening physically, could be mentally, could be a creative idea. Maybe you go around the wall, over, sideways. Whenever you take on a big challenge, a lot of times it's super intimidating because you realize it's not something that can be accomplished in one day. I'll even give an example from, I allowed my yard to get completely, it was not taken care of at all, overrun with weeds.
Turned into a jungle.
It pretty much turned into a jungle. And it got to the point where this wasn't going to be a 1 week process. But what I did was I committed myself to only 30 minutes per day. What I would do is I would set a timer, 30 minutes a day. I just do yard work for 30 minutes. I don't care what it is. It could be chopping with the machete, chopping trees down, pulling weeds out. Could be planting a new plant. And it took about 4 to 5 months. And then all of a sudden, my neighbors started complimenting me and asking me what my tips were. And that came from, it's the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Sometimes there's something that's going to be too great for you to overcome in one day. Too great to overcome in a month. There's some challenges that are actually too great to even overcome in 10 or 20 years. It might be a 30-year goal, but if you stuck with it, you would actually eventually overcome that. And that's almost, I don't know if I'll ever reach that level in my lifetime, but there are human beings that have reached that level where they've accomplished a goal that takes a full 30 years of dedication.
And you know what happens, and you know how people are able to do that? They have completely blocked out the outside noise, and they've actually even tapped into a space where they've even completely blocked out, the doubt and the fear inside of themselves. Because to commit to something for 20 or 30 years, that takes complete faith. And when we're trying to accomplish something great, when we're trying to accomplish something big, attain one of these big goals, it takes blind faith, because you're not going to see those results overnight. And when you're talking about a 20, 30 year process, you're not even going to see those results in the next 5 years. So you have to be walking in faith. And just like I always like to mention, that bamboo growth, you're going to be watering that seed for 5 years straight, and you're not going to see any growth at all. But eventually, once that bamboo hits pay dirt, once that bamboo gets above the ground, it's going to sprout up 90 feet in 5 weeks or something like that. That's how that growth is. And even when you're talking about a 20 or 30 year process, that's even more extreme.
And you people out there that are early in your calisthenics journey, you're going to hit so many plateaus, you're going to regress, you're going to hit walls that are going to feel like, oh, it's a genetic limit, or I'm never going to be able to lift this. I thought I was tapped out 3 years ago, and that was just because what happened was my noob gains, my quick progress from being new at something ran out. And then you realize.
And James, I don't want to interrupt you, but I kind of want to. Before I forget this, I want to say this thing right here, because you're talking about like when you feel like you hit a genetic limit. I'm gonna tell you guys, for if you guys are around my age group, I'm 36 years old. I started doing calisthenics at 32. There's a lot of people who think, starting to work out in your 30s is like too late.
And there's people who think at 18 they already think they already missed their window.
Exactly, but for me, when maybe my first 2 years of calisthenics, I made a bunch of progress. You know what I mean? I was able to do a lot of skill training, but then I was like, oh well, I don't know how much further I'm going to be able to go. I had a mental. I question myself mentally. I don't know how much further I'm going to be able to go, because, I'm approaching my mid-30s, and, I don't know. And now at 36 years old, I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. I've been, breaking through barriers. I've been breaking through these brick walls, and I've been unlocking different movements. I didn't start doing the back lever until like 3 or 4 months ago. And it was just something that just over the compound interest of all this strength I've been building up, I just tried it one day and it just ended up working out. And these are the things that you need to think about. Age is just a number. You know what I mean? Your mentality is everything. How you take care of yourself is everything. And, these limitations that we set on ourselves can be extremely toxic. And then once we start listening to the outside noise and all the outside world, even if it's people that, are loved ones, that can be even more toxic. So drown that out. Drown out the negativity and the doubt that you have within yourself, and push forward on these goals and these dreams that you have.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of wrap it up, a lot of times people think slow progress is equal to no progress. And this was the hardest battle I ever faced. I was always trying to push for stuff to be done in 2 months, 3 months, and it never happened on that timeline. And a lot of times that's the best thing that possibly could have happened to you, because as you're making mistakes in your training, as you're going through this maze and you're hitting roadblocks, you're actually building up a knowledge base so you can diagnose in the future how to fix different problems. Now when I show up and I'm lethargic or I'm weaker than I was the workout before, I don't panic at all. I'm not even stressed about it. I already know the blueprint for how to get my strength up. When I come in and I'm super strong, I know this is a temporary kind of boost in performance. That no, I didn't just increase my progress 10%. What happened was I'd put in work for a year, and then I recovered a little bit, and now I'm performing a little bit above what I'm normally capable of doing, but you still shouldn't get too high on that. That wasn't because you did something special the last week. You might have thought you were plateaued for a full year, and then you thought you did something special in the last 2 weeks. No. You just got the payment for that whole year of work and that whole year of diet that you did that you thought that wasn't working. It actually just got paid to you in a lump sum at the end, and you didn't even realize that whole time your body was responding. Every set you did, every clean food you ate, your body responded to that. You just didn't see it until later on when you got that harvest if you stuck with it long enough.
Delayed gratification. That's the definition of delayed gratification. That's the type of gratification you should be chasing. That instant gratification, it can be toxic. I feel like that instant gratification is directly linked to that ego. That delayed gratification is directly linked to that mentality, that warrior spirit that's inside of you, that person who has complete faith. That's almost tapping into a spiritual essence when you have that delayed gratification. So that's the thing we should be striving for. Don't listen to the outside noise, guys. If people tell you that you can't do something, don't listen to them. If people tell you that you shouldn't go someplace because it's too dangerous, you know, and that you don't belong there, don't listen to them on that. Honestly, actually, to keep it 100 with you guys, well, right now we're at a Four Seasons hotel. Are either one of us staying at this hotel? We're both not staying at this hotel. We just came because we wanted to have a good background, a good ambiance, you know, to make a video in. And a lot of people probably would think, you know, oh, that's an extremely expensive hotel. We shouldn't go there because, you know, we might get in trouble. What's the worst that can happen if we get into make a video at the Four Seasons? All they can do is tell you to leave. But at the end of the day,
they welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah.
And if you're a cool person, you'd be surprised. People will let you in so many different places.
Exactly. And that's one thing I've done a lot of times when I've been in Hawaii. It's like, I don't have a hotel stay at a lot of places, but I just show up and use the facilities. I use the jacuzzis. I use everything else that they have there to offer. So, guys, don't limit yourself. We all kind of can put this glass ceiling over our head, and, you know, other people, outside influences, will try to make that glass ceiling even lower. So you need to burst through and shatter that glass on that glass ceiling, and just, you know, let yourself grow, expand. You know what I mean? See how far you can take things, because we're all capable of doing much more than we actually can even imagine. But anyways, guys, on that note, I don't know if you had anything.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. I was just gonna say, pretty much, if you're stuck on a physical limitation, start setting PRs. Maybe on the mental side of things, or a work-based PR. So let's say you're stuck, you can't get past 10 pull-ups. What if you set a diet PR, where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna stick